Tonight, a man found guilty of rape and murder.
Police urge us to lock up our cars.
Cassowaries in the spotlight during Threatened Species Day.
And the countdown is on for the Cairns Amateurs.
Across Cairns and far north Queensland, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
A South African national has been sentenced to life in prison for the murder and rape of a Mission Beach photographer.
Tonight, workers in shock as a colleague dies in an industrial accident.
2 injured in a shooting in Kelso.
A Home Hill survivor's plea for backpacker safety.
And Laverack Barracks opens its gates.
Across Townsville and North Queensland, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
A man has died after a large pallet of timber fell off a truck and landed on him. Tonight, warnings as the region's bushfire threat rises. A rideshare app officially legalised today. 32-year-old woman charged over biting a police officer. And dad's treated to a special day out.
Across Mackay, the Whitsundays and the coalfields, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. Authorities are urging us to get bushfire ready, with the season now officially underway.
Tonight, a woman faces court after a stabbing in the city.
Drugs seized after a routine police traffic stop.
A multi-million-dollar Agnes Water development underway.
And more than 100 truckies invade Rocky for a good cause.
Across central Queensland, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
A 29-year-old woman has faced court in Rockhampton after allegedly stabbing another woman on Friday night. Tonight, 9 footy players suspended after a violent brawl. The search for 2 armed robbers. An underwater show at Lady Elliot Island. And the safety message keeping children safe.
Across the wide Bay Burnett, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. The Queensland Rugby League has suspended 9 players who are involved in an ugly brawl after a junior football match in Bundaberg. Tonight, Mooloolaba on the world stage for the Ironman's 70.3. A man faces court charged over an alleged stabbing. Uber officially legalised. And lanterns light up for the Horizon Festival.
Live from the Sunshine Coast, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us. The Sunshine Coast has enjoyed some international exposure, all thanks to the Ironman's 70.3 World Championships.
Tonight, a health report released over Oakey's groundwater contamination.
An accused armed robber held behind bars.
Uber officially legalised in Queensland.
And police perform to share a child safety message.
Across the Darling Downs and beyond, this is 7 News with Rob Bruff and Joanne Desmond.
Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us.
Good evening.
A report into health risks surrounding the Oakey groundwater contamination crisis is being handed down at a community meeting tonight.
Tonight on 7's Gold Coast News, our first local medalists. Family and friends cheer them on. The Coast's bid to host Prince Harry's INVICTUS Games right after the Commonwealth Games. Crash sequel, a teenage mother faces multiple charges over Churn Park chaos. And Orang granddad's despair, his car's stolen the day after his wife's funeral. And the flight from hell, Jetstar passengers finally here after a dramatic trip from Tokyo.
Live from our Surfers Paradise headquarters, this is 7 Gold Coast News with Rod Young.
Good evening. 2 swimmers have bagged the Gold Coast's first medals at the Olympics. Cam McAvoy and James Roberts were part of Australia's 4x100 metres freestyle relay team.
Tonight, the sickening abuse of children playing sport. Victims harrowing evidence to the Royal Commission. A mother critically hurt, allegedly struck with a hammer at her Sydney home. An unprecedented leak revealing the financial secrets of the rich and famous. And ready for Rio, meet the athletes you'll watch competing for gold and their champion leader.
This is Prime 7 News at 6:30 with Daniel Gibson.
Good evening. There was a full-scale medical emergency this afternoon after a domestic violence incident in Sydney's west.
Tonight, an artificial reef starts to bloom off the mid-north coast as more fish move in. A contaminated mine site being reborn as a wetlands park attraction. Nurses take a stand over what they say are staff cuts at Kyogle Hospital. And a perfect spring day on the coast. We'll check the latest forecast.
This is Prime 7 News at 6 with Kenny Heatley.
Good evening. Fishermen are getting excited as the state's newest artificial reef starts to reel in the fish. New underwater pictures show the man-made structure is starting to bloom. Tonight, the Deputy PM adamant foreign ownership isn't leaving farmers in the cold. A fresh look at how we make mobile phone calls that could be a game changer for the bush. A new campaign to sell Aussie lamb hits the mark. And things are starting to turn green after all the rain. We'll check the latest forecast.
This is Prime 7 News at 6 with Kenny Heatley.
Good evening. New government figures show how much of Australia's agricultural land has been snapped up by foreign investors. Local farmers are concerned about the trend, but some of the results may surprise you.
Tonight, a sea of water engulfs Forbes as locals wait for the flood peak. On the ground, the water gets closer to homes. What's coming for Forbes tonight and tomorrow? He's back in the chair and the Mayor of Orange is not happy about council mergers.
And I'll let you know how much rain is coming on Friday as a strong cold front barrels in from the west. See you soon.
This is Prime 7 News at 6 with Freya Cole.
Good evening. The Lachlan River at Forbes is rising, inching closer to an expected moderate flood peak of more than 10 metres tonight. Tonight, a new push to solve our parking problems, but how much will it cost? Community groups call for tougher action as home burglaries spiral. Leeton's young giant counts down the hours until his first AFL finals appearance.
And I'll let you know how much rain is coming on Friday as a strong cold front barrels in from the west. See you soon.
This is Prime 7 News at 6 with Freya Cole.
Good evening. There's a new plan to solve Wagga's parking shortage and give local businesses a boost at the same time. Tonight, a community mourns as a little boy dies in a tragic after-hours accident at a border school. Floodwater causes headaches downstream while a riverside cafe becomes an island. Parents demand action as an aggressive magpie attacks kids at a popular park.
And I'll let you know how much rain is coming on Friday as a strong cold front barrels in from the west. See you soon.
This is Prime 7 News at 6 with Freya Cole.
Good evening. A 5-year-old boy has died in a freak accident at a Wodonga primary school. The little boy was in after-school care yesterday when he tripped, fell on stairs and died in hospital a short time later.
Tonight, a surfer attacked by a great white. How his brother's quick thinking saved his life. A stupid prank floods a heritage-listed school and leaves a massive clean-up job. A WA's Paralympic legend Brad Ness to carry the Aussie flag in Rio.
Live across Western Australia, GWN 7 News with Noel Brunning.
Good evening. First tonight, a surfer has survived an attack by a great white thanks to his quick-thinking brother.
Islamic State names iconic sites on an Australian hit list. Calls for Sam Dastyari to step down over the Chinese money row. Questions over bed shortages this flu season. A driver sentenced after a fatal crash. And police recruits pack a punch for those in need.
This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. There are more appeals from Islamic State tonight for followers to attack Australians at landmark sites, including the Opera House and the MCG.
Tonight on Southern Cross News, the Premier talks up the Port Pirie economy, saying our fundamentals are strong. And the need for speed, an air show is coming to Port Lincoln.
This is Southern Cross News with Sam Hunt.
Good evening. The Premier today visited Port Pirie, giving the city's economy the tick of approval.